So very seriously, I want to consider, and I would love to know your thoughts on this. If you're watching the show today, would you leave a comment on your thoughts? Do you like the starting lineup as it is? Would you like to see a lineup change? For those of you listening, you can shoot me a DM on Twitter, send us an email to the show, anything like that. So the lineup all season long, the starters have been set in stone. It's last year's, the 4 returning starters plus Pete Nance basically filling in the Brady Manek role. And that in itself reminds us all, hopefully, do you remember that until Dawson Garcia went out with that injury that he suffered early in the Boston College, I can't remember if it was at Boston College or at Chapel Hill, but got hurt like 2 minutes into a game last season. And then Brady started starting and never came out of the starting lineup. I think it's easy to forget that was the case. Actually, I think Brady might have started the first game of the season. For some reason, I don't remember what it was, but then Dawson started basically all the way up until he had that injury suffered. And then it was Brady Manek the rest of the way, and the rest is history, as we know now. And I know that one was precipitated by an injury, not just by Coach Davis and the coaching staff saying, hey, I think we need to make a change. This starting lineup has felt pretty set in stone. You remember last year coming into the season, we didn't know if Coach Davis would start both RJ and Caleb. Remember, Coach Williams didn't do that. He had Kerwin and Caleb in the starting lineup the year prior. Although there were some games anyway, we don't need to get into all that and dwell on it because it doesn't matter to this conversation. The question is it worth considering a starting lineup change? And what I mean by that is that where I would go specifically with it is you don't make a change to the backcourt, although we need to see more from RJ and Caleb. You're still riding with them. You are not taking out Leaky Black. He is your best defender. And frankly, as I've said on the show, I think has been the most consistent player, although he didn't score against Indiana, has been your most consistent player so far this season. What I'm beginning to wonder is in this modern age of basketball, particularly given how Coach Davis wants to run his team, is it time to consider moving? We're not moving the ACC preseason player out of the year out of the starting lineup, are you? No, sir. Is it time to consider letting Pete Nance come off the bench and moving, my vote, Puff Johnson into the starting lineup? There is just a different level of, not efficiency, I wouldn't say that yet because Carolina has not been efficient on offense. There's just a different level, I'll go with energy, that this team seems to have with Puff Johnson in the game. Part of that is because of how he plays, all the intangibles he brings to a court, all those non-box score type things, although he has been doing some more box score type things lately, particularly in that Alabama game, man, his numbers showed up. But there's just something that Puff Johnson brings to a game, whether it's getting to the foul line, as he did a lot against Indiana, 7 trips, I believe, made 6 of them. Whether it's getting on loose balls, which he does consistently, whether he's the best charge taker on the team. Leaky Black plays his defense with early preparation. Not that Puff doesn't do that, but Puff is great about positioning himself to be ready to draw a charge. And I think we just see that the flow of this team is better when Armando and Pete aren't out there together. Now, maybe there comes a time as they learn each other better where they can figure out what that is and looks like. But right now, Carolina's trying to satisfy that by bringing one of them to the high post to help operate the offense. But all it does, if it's Mondo in the high post, is getting him too far away from the basket and forcing him to dribble if he gets the ball. And it's just not a good look. So again, last year, a starting lineup change happened, and look at the result. It got you all the way to the national championship game. Hubert Davis, for all his nice guyedness, is when it comes to competition, he will stop at nothing to win. So he's not going to be loyal to keeping Pete Nance in just to keep Pete Nance in the starting lineup. Now, I'm not sold that this is what's necessary. However, I'm saying I think there has to be the consideration of, is there a starting lineup change at hand? But there's also the potential, when you think about it, that part of the reason Puff Johnson brings so much of what he does is because he's coming off the bench. We've all seen this before in basketball, right? Where there's a player you think, man, look at everything he's doing or she's doing when she comes off the bench. And then you insert them into the starting lineup and it's just not the same. Maybe they're better at taking a couple minutes to diagnose how a game's unfolding. Maybe they just need to, you know what I'm saying? Like we've all seen that in basketball. And so there very much could be that reality with Puff Johnson or whomever else you might bring into the starting lineup. But I'd like to at least consider it. Again, I want to know your thoughts. Something else about playing time is I'm not all that surprised that Tyler Nickel's not getting much playing time right now. Like it just wasn't something we expected his freshman year. Same with Will Shaver. Frankly, same with Justin McCoy. DeMarco Dunn's getting more run than I thought he would. And you know whose run I think he's taking the place of? Dontrez. Dontrez's style is not seeing the court. The only time he's seen the court in the last 3, 4, 5 games was in the Alabama game out of almost necessity because of foul trouble. Let me suggest to you about Dontrez that there might be something going on. Keep your eyes out, your ears peeled, whatever that may be. Keep your ears out, your eyes peeled. You know what I mean. On that situation, is there something more than just Dontrez isn't playing? Or is it kind of a cyclical thing? He's not playing, so something's going on, or something's going on, so he's not playing. Just keep your ear to the ground on that. Now, obviously, we still have not seen Jalen Washington, and we anticipate him back at any time now. My thought, don't bring him back against Indiana as they didn't. Don't bring him back at Virginia Tech. It's just not a putting him in a position to win. My thought would be the earliest you would probably see him is at home against Georgia Tech a week after that Virginia Tech game. So is it time to shuffle the starting lineup? It might be worth a look at it. And my suggestion, get Pete Nance as your sixth man coming off the bench. Bring Puff Johnson into the starting lineup. I think it's worth a shot.